Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is T-Rad, and for today's video, we are going to be doing the bracket challenge. I'm going to give you my picks, why I think that each team will win, and eventually who will become the World Series winner. I think that was a dog outside. I don't know if you guys heard it, but I sure did. But anyway, let's look at the first matchup here. I have to face my computer, so if I'm not looking at the camera the entire time, my monitor is right over here beside me. So in order to do the challenge, I have to be able to see the teams that are playing. So we're going to start off with the wildcard game, which is the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees at Fenway Park. And for me, I just think that Fenway provides a little bit more danger for Garrett Cole. And when Boston's a very good fastball hitting team, which they are, Garrett Cole was struggling in his last few starts with the fastball because teams were looking for it. I just think that that's going to be an absolute disaster for Garrett Cole if they're hunting the fastball, which if I'm a hitting coach, that's exactly what I'm telling teams to do, is sit on that fastball from Garrett Cole. So for that reason, and really that reason only, I'm going to pick the Boston Red Sox. And the NL wildcard, we'll do both wildcards, and then I'll stay on the AL side, move to the NL side after that. On the NL side, the records do not show how close this actually could be with the LA Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis was on an absolute tear to end the season, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't come out swinging against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers don't have Max Muncy. All day I've been telling myself that it's the Dodgers. I'm actually live on this recording here. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going the St. Louis Cardinals. Not the Los Angeles Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals. The benefit of trying to do a one-take video here. But we're going to switch it up now and head over to the ALDS with Tampa and Boston. And the thing is, I think Tampa's just such a good team. They're one of the most underappreciated pitching staffs in all of baseball. And to be perfectly honest, I don't see that Boston is that much better that they would put out the Tampa Bay Rays. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Cash is also just such a smart manager and such a good manager. He brings out the best of his players, and I just don't see that there's any way that they don't come out on top in this series. I could be wrong. If I am, roast me in the comments down below. But I just don't see there's any way that the stable of arms, as Kevin Cash put it, that throw 98, and the fact that they really don't see the lineup for a third time really just allows them to be that much more advanced, and just honestly just a team that could go all the way, but we'll see as the bracket goes on. The second division series, we got the White Sox and the Astros. Now this is actually a very close matchup, and I know Houston has the upper hand in terms of record, which means home field advantage in a best of 5, which is huge. But this is why, and I know White Sox fans, a lot of them have been criticizing the hiring of Tony La Russa since he was hired, and I don't blame them, but he also is a fantastic postseason manager. He knows how to get it done, but also the players that he has are absolutely phenomenal talents, and I don't know. I gotta go with my gut, which is telling me the Chicago White Sox. So that's the ALCS, is the Tampa Bay Rays and the Chicago White Sox. I just think that's possibly the best matchup you can get if you're on both sides. That's a little bit of a mix of old school versus new school, which we'll get into once we finish out the NL side of things. San Francisco and St. Louis. Now, see, St. Louis is also just a really good team as well, and I think they don't get as much recognition as they deserve. They didn't play that well to start the year, obviously, but I also think San Francisco is that much better that I think I'm going to go with San Francisco. They didn't make the postseason last year. They broke their trend of even year World Series. They broke that in 2018, but didn't really even try to continue it last year. And it just becomes a thing that San Francisco, their coaching staff is beyond phenomenal. Say what you will about Gabe Kapler, but the coaching staff around him is absolutely phenomenal. And they bring out the best out of the guys like Brandon Crawford, who had a real resurgence this year. Buster Posey really came out of nowhere and surprised me as the old Buster Posey. And that's exactly what you're looking for. Switching over to the second NLDS of the Braves and the Brewers. This one, I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I tried to prepare notes for everything, and this one makes the most sense. For me, the pitching of the Milwaukee Brewers is just that much better. It's, you look at Brandon Woodruff, you look at Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta, obviously, as well. That I don't think a team that doesn't have Ronald Acuna Jr. really has that much of a chance. I know they still have Freddie Freeman, don't get me wrong, Jorge Soler, but none of those players neither one of those players I just mentioned equals a Ronald Acuna Jr. If they had Acuna, I could see them potentially making a run at this, but because they don't, I'm going to pick the Milwaukee Brewers. So now we head into the championship series with the Rays and the White Sox. As I said, old school versus new school. You got the heavy, analytically based Tampa Bay Rays team versus what are analytics in the Chicago White Sox. And I just think that Chicago is the best team to give the Rays a run for their money. I think it was actually a split season series, which that's all you need to know. These two teams are about as close as you could get. I don't really allow myself to judge the teams based on season series, but these teams are phenomenal. I'm going to go for the upset. I like upsets around here. I'm going to pick the Chicago White Sox to make it to the World Series. And their opponent, San Francisco versus Milwaukee. Now, this is a 7-game series, and I stand a lot by the pitching and defense wins championships, and I think that's why I've even picked Chicago. They have a mix of both that serves them insanely well. They have the amazing pitching, really good offense as well, and their defense actually isn't as bad as some people make it out to be. It wasn't the best. Obviously, the analytics do play a factor into that, but when I look at the Brewers, they're the 2 seed. Their 3 pitchers are absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to be looking for a guy like Christian Yelich to make an impact in this. And because of that, I'm actually going to pick the Milwaukee Brewers. So that leaves the World Series between the Chicago White Sox and the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, this is obviously a very, very, very different World Series than I think a lot of people would predict. I'm sure some people would love to see a rematch of last year's World Series or see the San Francisco Giants get back in. But these two teams, I think, create the most chaos amongst the front offices and teams that, for me, are fun to watch. I enjoyed every time that the Jays actually played the White Sox this past season. We didn't win a lot of them, but they played well enough to at least make the games entertaining and fun to watch. And Milwaukee, anytime I've seen them on TV, they're absolutely a phenomenal team that I actually really enjoyed watching. And Christian Yelich, if he can get going, that's just better for the sport. So between the two, who would I rather see make it to win the World Series. Now that's a tough one for me because I do like both teams. I'm my gut's telling me Milwaukee, but the baseball mind in me is saying to go with the Chicago White Sox. I just think, guys like Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, Yasmani Grandal, it's just such a fun team to watch. And honestly, I think Eloy Jimenez, if he has a great postseason, he could be my dark horse for World Series MVP. And Yasmani Grandal calls one heck of a game behind the plate. He's absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I'm comfortable with that pick of picking the Chicago White Sox. I think they're just such a fantastic team. And yeah, I really think that's a solid pick. And I mean, any of these teams are well deserving to win. The Brewers are one of those teams that if they won, you're happy for them. If the White Sox win, you're happy for them. The Rays, as an AL East rival, you're not that happy for them. But yeah, I'm comfortable with those picks, and overall, I think you couldn't go wrong either way. So yeah, those are my picks. Let me know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? Drop that in the comments down below. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We do have some series that I'm really working on and trying to make sure that they're the best for everyone and all the teams, whether they're in the playoffs, out of the playoffs. It's going to be an entertaining one. You're going to want to stick around. And yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.